Hi guys, got a new tank to build. It's the PLA Type 59, People's Liberation Army, Chinese tank. The Russians sold or gave the plans to the T-54 to the Chinese during a period of friendship to get their tank manufacturing industry off the ground. And then I suppose it became one of the most successful tanks, really. Because it stayed in service from 1959 to the present day, and the Chinese sold it to other countries like Pakistan, Iraq, Iran. You see from the photos there, it's been used all over the world. I think the Chinese primarily used it against the North Vietnamese in the Third Indo-Chinese War. And that was significant to me because obviously when I'm building, I'm looking into the idea of a diorama, what diorama would fit it. So I want to know that a tank's been used in conflict, because a diorama where it's just driving down the street is kind of a bit boring. This tank obviously is iconic from that image of the man in Tiananmen Square who stands in front of the column and stops them before he's arrested in 1989. So that was a column of these tanks. My favourite ever build is the Tamiya T62. That's the best tank I've ever made. Loved it. I love how it looks. And I've always preferred Russian tanks to any others that I've built. So I suppose this is the T54, and it still fits that. It still fits that. But I've never done the T54, so that's what I'm going to do soon. This was marked down on Jadlam's website. I think it was £20-something, but it came with a discount. So it's Hobbyboss. Came with all the photo etch, detailed kit. Came with some brass wire, lots of the little clear glass parts. Lovely. And I'd been in my local hardware store for something else, for another reason, and they were marking down rattle can spray cans designed for furniture, and they had a dark green, which they marked down to like £1. So the plan is to actually spray paint this one, but in the end that turned out to just be a kind of I used it as like a base, as a primer, because the green wasn't exactly right. It was too dark. But anyway, so far I'm filming a lot of the build because when I went on YouTube to get some opinions of the actual build, which I always do, and there's usually 15,000 build videos and unboxing videos, there didn't seem to be any for this version. I think Hobbyboss maybe does a late version, but there wasn't any for the version I'd got. So I decided to film some of the build. So brand new craft knife today, brand new super glue. I bought off Amazon a little twist drill kit for I think £6 or £7, because I knew there was a few points at which you had to drill through the holes, and previously I always use the end of a craft knife. So yeah, bought some Vallejo mud effects as well, instead of using the pastel effects, the ground up pastel that I've been using previously. So yeah, I just wanted to do a good job on this one, and I enjoyed it. And you've seen me there do the suspension, which went together, cleanly. The fenders have got a lot of detail on. You have to drill some holes for the track parts, and then the gas tanks, the diesel tanks, have brackets, and there's quite a lot of detail on them. most of the kits I do, Tamiya kits, the fenders are connected to the upper hull, to the top piece of the tank. I have done a tank before where the fenders were like this, separate, but I found it quite difficult because you'll see the order in which I build it and the order in which I spray paint it. I wanted full access to the tracks. So when it said to add the mud guards to the body, I didn't add them at that stage. I wanted to paint them first, paint the tracks, paint the underside of them, because I just thought I'm making it difficult for myself if I connect everything up too early. The result being that when I tried to, obviously it was paint-to-paint contact, so I had to use super glue. And it's really hard to put pressure on a very, very thin plastic mud guard to connect it to the main body. And you can see there's 3 or 4 parts. There's 3 or 4 points on the mud guard where it joins the body. And yeah, I found it difficult to put pressure on it and get a close, tight fit. So this is my first time where I've made the tracks piece by piece and actually enjoyed it. So maybe it's not me, maybe there's Zvezda kits which I've done in the past, but this went together really well. The only problem is, as you can see there, almost everything has these little tags on. Now, I always presumed these were a painting aid, so something to hold if you're painting the piece. The little unnecessary plastic tags that are not connected to the sprue, but there was thousands of them on this kit. You can see the little pile of waste ones just from the tracks. It's just unnecessary because most of the pieces would be painted either on the sprue or on the tank finished. Like, why would you hold each individual piece and paint it individually? It didn't make any sense to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a structural thing. Maybe it's an injection molding thing. But if they are tags for painting, which is what I always presumed they were, they just went overboard on this kit. Every single piece, like say a headlamp, would have like 3 extra tags to hold. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. If you know, if they're part of the structural integrity of the sprue or something, I don't know. So, if you've seen my previous videos, I've always said I prefer the vinyl than these, but this is how I did it. Did them in short runs of like 7 or 8, put them together. They don't click together, they just push together, and then I glued them. And whilst they were still flexible, I moulded them to the wheels. Quite simple, realistic. T54 tracks obviously were aggressive tracks. They didn't have rubber cushions on for when they go over roads. They were just cast metal. So quite simple. There's not 2 different kinds. Like sometimes the Zvezda kits, they have kind of one that grips the sprocket and one that is just flat. These were all identical, so that was quite simple. And then once I've got them to lengths of 7 or 8, I was putting them into bigger sections. So basically 4 sections. Started with the sprocket end of the wheels, because that's the one that I've struggled with when I've done them in the past. Matching the Zvezda tend to do a flat piece for the top, a flat piece for the bottom, and then single plates that you wrap around the idler and the sprocket ends. So I kind of copied that approach to it. So I did a flat piece for the top, and as long as the glue is not properly brittle, as long as you're doing it within 10-20 minutes of putting it together, you can shape that to sag between the wheels. You guys probably know better than me. I'm no expert at this. And then I did the bottom of the tracks, and obviously as I'm pushing it with my fingers, it sagged between the wheels on the bottom of the tracks. But obviously I used a knife then, a knife at the tip of my craft knife, to straighten that out when I turned it back over again. But yeah, it just fit together. It worked. It was how the Zvezda one should be, I suppose. And it looks really good. And because I had a rattle can, I was just winging it. Normally, as you know, guys, if you've seen my page before, my channel before, normally I paint the wheels, I paint the tracks, and I use super glue, and that makes it hard as well. I was looking at Instagram, and the other day a chap was posting pictures of a really highly detailed, highly finished tank, and he'd completely constructed the whole thing, and it was so detailed with photo etch and everything, and he'd put canvases on and storage on, and he'd not held anything back, and he was going to paint it all in one go. And I said to him, how are you going to paint the tracks separate to the wheels, and not, get the colour of the tracks on the wheels and the colour of the wheels on the tracks? And he just said, use a brush, which wasn't particularly helpful. But I just thought, well, if he could do it, let's just wing it. Let's build it completely, and spray the green as a primer, and then I can go back and paint the tracks black. And I just kept a brush in reserve, a clean wet brush, so that if I overlapped on the wheels with the black, I just diluted it straight away and cleaned it off with water before it dried. So yeah, it's a two-part of this, guys, because I'm going to get it to the stage where I started the green primer, and otherwise this video will be too long. But yeah, it was a success for me, getting these tracks right. Yeah, probably say that I preferred it to the vinyl ones. But time consuming, If the vinyl ones are well made, then why not? So if you buy this kit, it comes just with the Chinese option of the People's Liberation Army in terms of decals. But as I've said before, when I've done the Chieftain and other Russian tanks, when Middle Eastern countries buy these tanks, and they don't tend to put a lot of markings on them. So you could easily recreate. I've seen the Bovington Tank Museum has an Iraqi captured one of these. I'm pretty sure it was the 59 and not the T54. And it's just plain sand coloured, covered in chips. And I've seen North Vietnamese ones were just plain green. And I think there was one I saw that was Iranian, and it just had an Iranian flag flying. So yeah, you could easily do a Middle Eastern one without needing to really do anything to the decals. So you'll have to tune in for part 2, guys. I'm just going to do the green primer, and I've got some weathering effects, and put it all together, put the mudguards on, and finish building the turret, actually. And the machine gun is quite an elaborate, detailed machine gun as well. But you can see it's quite a nice build, detailed and time consuming, but makes sense, and it was all common sense and fits together pretty well engineered. So thanks for watching, guys, and please tune in again to see how this one turns out. Cheers.